All right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday. And it's been a busy year and we've had a lot of events, but I'm trying to review, well, almost all of them. I mean, well, they're all worthy of review. I'd have to say, you know, there's very few times that I've done an event and people have left and said, I don't like any of the wines. And last night, we had a bunch of Pinot Noir lovers down at the Edge Steak and Bar at the Four Seasons Hotel on Brickell. And, you know, we had a full house. We had 20 people there. The Edge is starting to catch on. Aaron Brooks puts out some outstanding food. Usually it's paired very nicely with the wines. I'd have to say, well, I don't know about the courses last night if they're not traditionally Burgundian, but I mean, I like the food. It was good, but fondue and lamb sausage with beans, cassoulet with raw egg in there is not Burgundian. And, well, I thought the lamb sausage went very good with the Nuits St. George, which had this kind of strong, earthy component in the Bourgogne. But the other wines, maybe a little bit too earthy, the beans dish. And not a lot of people like the raw egg for some reason. I love it. You can put raw egg on anything, and I'll eat it. But anyways, you know, I thought the food was very good. And like I said, they, you know, maybe didn't get the bread out in time, but everything else, these guys have done a great job for us down at the Edge. I can't complain. And we got some great events coming up. 2 weeks. Our next tasting, which we're there every other Tuesday night, is going to be Tuscan wines. We've got one producer in, and a local guy, Bob Quillo, owns this property in Tuscany, and we're going to be showing some great wines from there. Check it out on our calendar of events. But our Pinot tasting started out, well, Pinot Noir is the ultimate chameleon. It is the varietal that really shows you the place where it comes from, almost more than any other varietal. So we had our tour of Pinot Noir from around the world, and we started in Northern California, an area where they do very well with Pinot Noir, the Anderson Valley and the Sonoma Coast, and the Straight Line Project. Well, this is from the folks at Cellars, the winemakers John Grant. And this one has some lovely spicy berry fruit here, some pretty floral notes, really exotic spice. This cooler area really showcasing that spice and that zesty finish, black raspberry fruit. Really nice, refreshing style at only 13.4% alcohol. You might mistake this wine for a wine from Burgundy. Very good juice at $26.40. And then all these wines, very small production. The Wind Gap, they only make 308 cases of this wine. Tiny production, even lower in alcohol, 12.4%. Is this a California wine? I couldn't believe it when I saw that. Pax is the winemaker here and owner. It's all sourced fruit, and it comes from 3 different vineyard sites. The Gap's Crown provides that subtle, sexy fruit. The Griffin's Lair, a little darker, spicier fruit, and that Black Knight component. All 3 of these vineyards are located in the Petaluma Gap, so you get really cool breezes through here and really cold climate, but really nicely blended together. This wine had a lovely zesty berry fruit, some raspberry, the minty kind of notes, floral spice as well. Really nice zest on the finish. You know, that light alcohol, you really notice the spice in the wine, and kind of pops on your tongue on the finish. A really good little bottle of Pinot, $33. This was a lot of people's favorites. And, you know, you'd think the next wine, Brewer-Clifton, at 14.7% alcohol, would have just knocked everybody clear out after that light wine, but you really did notice the heat after 2 points of alcohol is quite a bit more alcohol. But this wine wears it very well. Steve Brewer of Diatom in Melville, he and his partner, they own these vineyards. This is all estate bottled fruits. It's a big Pinot Noir, man. A good amount of that ripe black raspberry fruit, pretty floral notes, rose petals, and a bit hot and spicy on the finish, but still rather well, you know, wears it well. For a wine that's got this much alcohol, and Pinot Noir especially, when it gets up over 14.5%, you know, it's hard to find ones that I like because that alcohol really starts to show some heat on the finish. But this wine, very nicely balanced and an excellent bottle of Pinot. Maybe we should show the Calera Central Coast first, because this wine a lot more elegant. Some lovely red cherry fruit. These folks have been making wine since the late 70s, one of the pioneers of the Willamette Valley. Calera's been making Pinot since the 70s from the Mount Harlan region of California. Josh Jensen making some great single vineyard wines. This is his entry level, which is a blend of different growers' Pinots, not his own fruit, and it's a really nice little entry level wine. He really focuses on, you know, the Burgundian side of Pinot as well. Really lovely red cherry fruit, kind of lovely rose petal, floral, exotic spice shown on the nose. Smooth and silky texture with a zesty finish, quite a bit lighter than the Brewer-Clifton. So, you know, some unprofessional tasters may have thought this one was underwhelming after that, but I thought it showed very nicely. An excellent bottle of Pinot, $23.50, one of my wines of the night. The Patricia Green, also excellent. This wine had a lovely exotic spice and truffle notes. This is from the Ribbon Ridge Vineyard. A lot of this fruit here. It's the estate bottle from Patricia Green, a small producer, and they make about 1,200 cases of this wine. So every one of her cuvées, she doesn't make a lot of. That's one of the things about Pinot. A lot of the producers, they make a small amount of this, a small amount of that. Just like in Burgundy, it can be very hard to find these wines after the initial release because of the low production. This wine also a light and savory wine with 13% alcohol, a lovely velvety, silky texture. One of the things I love about Pinot Noir, a firm hand of acidity and a lot of nuance to the finish here. Some truffly, minty notes coming through. An excellent bottle of Pinot at $30.50. The Patricia Green got a couple of votes for wine of the night as well. And then the Pinot Noir Adelsheim. Ththese guys have been doing it in the Willamette Valley since the 70s. And this is their 32nd vintage. Wow. Founded in 1971. 1979 was their first vintage. And a good amount of spice to this wine. And, another lower alcohol wine, focusing more on the savory and side of Pinot Noir. Some lovely perfume, strawberry, red cherry fruits. A really nice finish to this wine, clean and refreshing, and $24, a very good bottle of Pinot 2010, a more classic style vintage in Oregon, which means cooler, and producers like that. They like vintages that will last in your cellar. 2009, a very warm vintage in Burgundy, this Domaine de Montille. This wine, Alan Meadows calls it outstanding, and a lot of 2009 Bourgognes, I think, very good quality, and a great vintage in Burgundy means it's just much easier to make good wine in the flat-lying vineyards in the areas not considered premier and Grand Cru status. So, this wine had a lovely kind of fresh, earthy, kind of mushroomy note to the nose, red cherry fruit. Good amount of richness for an entry-level wine. This is a firm based out of Volnay. Etienne and Alex, the next generation, have taken over here, the label from their father. A very good effort. Like I said, you find a lot of stuff like this in 09. A lot of nice ripe fruit, but still has that character, that terroir of Burgundy. And then the Clos de Grand Vignes, Nuits St. George Premier Cru from Chateau de Poligny-Montrachet. And this is the same family, just a different label here. A good amount of barnyard and funk on the nose here. This 2008, a really classic vintage in Burgundy. And, somewhat showy right now. This Nuits St. George, a classic textbook example of this wine, which can be a little hard-edged when they're young and a little tannic, kind of black spice, some tar in this. Really complex array of earth, fruit, and spice on the nose here. And, this is from old vines only, this cuvee. But really showing some bright fruit on the finish as well. And a really nice bottle of wine. Definitely my call for wine of the night. I tend to go for more the dirt instead of the fruit. I always say there's two kinds of people when it comes to Pinot Noir. Fruity people and dirty people. And, we had more fruity people last night than dirty people. But, a good amount of people like this wine as their top pick. And the women, for some reason, always want to be dirty. But anyways, a great tasting last night at the Edge. Remember, just 2 weeks, we've got Tuscan wines coming up. I'm your host, Andrew Lamposoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying, remember, always drink the good stuff.